We all want the most FPS from our games. That is the most important thing for a PC gamer and why a lot of people choose to play on PC to begin with. But with your fancy i7 or i9 rig and an RTX card, maybe you're not quite getting the frames that you hoped for when you built the system. Well, the answer could actually be very simple, and today we're going to go over some things that you can do to boost your FPS and maximize your in-game performance. Welcome back to the Fortnite Hub. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure you drop a like on it. Also subscribe and notifications on. We're a brand new channel, so each like and every subscriber really does help this thing grow. Now, as mentioned at the start of the video, the whole point of PC gaming is to exceed what consoles can do. What's the point in building a fancy PC just to play 60 frames a second? You might as well just go and play Xbox or PS4. With the new 360Hz monitors being announced recently by Nvidia, now is the perfect time to optimize your PC and get the most frames for your money. So right, get a notepad ready and take note, because all of these things I'm about to show you can be done right now for absolutely free. Please be aware that not all of them will work for you. It all depends how optimized your system already is and also the specs. Some of these will have great effect on newer spec systems as opposed to older ones, and some might see a great benefit on older systems but not so much on newer systems. But there's potential to increase your frames by 20, 30, 50, maybe even 100 plus frames per second by doing these simple tricks. Now, before I did some of these tricks myself, I could comfortably hit around 140 to 160 FPS using an old i5-4670 and a GTX 1070 GPU, and now I average around 180 to 220 FPS comfortably, with spikes up to around 240 and beyond, especially in creative mode. Now, it might not seem like a massive jump to you, but bear in mind my CPU is quite old and only has 4 cores and 4 threads, and some of these techniques will have a greater effect if you have 6, 8, even 12 core PC with 12, 16 or 24 threads. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, basically if you have a new PC, you'll probably experience a lot more benefits than I did, but it also shows that even on an older build, you can still increase your FPS by 20, 30, 40%, which is absolutely great. Now, the first trick is a very easy one that pretty much anyone using an Intel CPU can do. When you start your PC, go into the BIOS and enable XMP if it isn't already. All this does is basically allows your computer to utilize your RAM clock speed if it isn't already. Sometimes computers aren't configured to use all of the RAM's potential. It's quite common to see a 3200 MHz stick of RAM only clocked at 2133. That's a huge amount of unused potential, which can have a drastic effect on in-game performance. In my case, my RAM was already at full use, so having this on or off has no effect, although I could potentially overclock my RAM to gain a bit more power, but we're not going to go into overclock or anything today in this video. Now, if you want to find out what speed your RAM is running at, download a program called Specky and that will tell you what your RAM is running at. If it's lower than what your RAM clock speed is and you have an Intel CPU, just go into your BIOS and enable this. I believe AMD have something similar called AMP, but I can't confirm this because I don't have an AMD rig currently. Also, if you want to check out links for Specky and all the other things I talk about, they'll be down below in the description box. Now that you've enabled XMP and reset your PC and back on the desktop, the next thing you need to do is clean your computer of anything that is lurking about that shouldn't be there, mainly malware and adware. These can have a real big effect on PC performance. If you've been browsing any sites you probably shouldn't have, or you've been using torrents, then chances are you've got quite a lot of them in your PC. Thankfully, one company has amazing software that'll sort both of these out. It's completely free, and that is Malware. First off, you want to download Malware and run a full scan of your PC and get rid of any malware that may be on your PC. Once you've definitely got rid of all the malware, it's time to download Malware adware cleaner program and do the same again. Just by doing this, you could see a huge performance in not just game performance, but overall PC performance. It might breathe a new life into your system rather than it always feeling very sluggish. It's definitely something you should be doing on a weekly basis. Stuff like this can completely ruin your system and cause you have to reinstall Windows and start from scratch, and that absolutely sucks. Trust me, it really does absolutely suck when you've got to reinstall everything. Especially for someone like me, it takes days upon days to do everything again, and it's so frustrating when it happens. So make sure you keep on top of your computer's security. If not to save the hassle of having to reinstall Windows, then definitely for your in-game performance and to maximize those frames. Next up, it's time to make sure your GPU is being used properly. If you've got an Nvidia card, which most of you will, right click on your desktop, go into the Nvidia control panel, then click on your 3D settings and go to the one that says OpenGL Rendering GPU and change it from auto select to your GPU if it isn't already on that setting. This will make sure the GPU is being used for rendering at all times, not sometimes switching back to the CPU. Now, in the same box, if you've got the option that says max frame rate, check it's not set lower than your refresh rate. If you have a 240Hz monitor and it's set at 144, you're not going to get those 96 extra frames, so you definitely need to make sure that this is the case. And now if it's not there in your settings, don't worry about it. It doesn't actually show up in mine. I'd actually get a screenshot from the internet to show you guys what it will look like. So if it's not there, don't sweat it. It's absolutely fine. Now that I've hopefully optimized your PC, it's now time to go in game and finish up with optimization. It could be worth jumping into a game now and seeing if anything has changed, whether your FPS has increased, but we've still got a few more tricks to do actually in game. Now first off, if you've got a newer build such as the 8th or 9th gen Intel or Ryzen build, it's worth trying the new DX12 feature that Epic added in recently. DX12 is fairly new and a lot of games are still catching up, but just turning this on can have a huge effect on your performance compared to how it used to be. Now unfortunately for me, there was little difference if any, because my PC has already been pushed to its limits when I max frame rates, so there isn't any room really to play around with and try and improve further beyond what I was able to do here. So I just left DX11 on, but when I get my new build, this will be the first thing I change when I load up Fortnite, and you definitely should be checking it out and seeing if it's going to have a benefit on your system. Next, scroll down at the bottom of the settings and make sure a multi-threaded rendering is turned on. Now most CPUs will have 4, 6, 8 or even 12 cores and usually double the number of threads, 8, 12, 16, 24, so on. Now I'm not going to go into any specifics about what cores and threads are, it's not important in this video, but we want to make sure that the game is utilising these threads. Turning this on can have huge impact on performance, and I mean huge. It really didn't do much for me because my CPU has 4 cores and 4 threads, but chances are you'll see a huge improvement for turning this on. Most PCs now have double the amount of threads in the cores, so there's a lot of extra power there. Now say you've got an 8 core CPU with 16 threads, without multi-thread rendering turned on, you are only using 8 cores and 8 threads, so you are missing out on 8 threads worth of performance. So yeah, definitely turn this on, you can see a massive difference, and I'm talking like potentially 100 FPS difference. Now finally, you know how most of us turn the game textures to low with the belief it will allow us to maximize frame rates? Well, this is something that is commonly done in games like CSGO to allow our GPU more power to push those frames. Well, in Fortnite this can actually have the opposite effect. If when textures are turned on to low, you aren't really pushing your GPU, especially if you've got something good like a 2070, 2080 or 2080 Ti, you aren't making the most of your GPU, and it's almost just like operating at a lower speed. It doesn't need to push the clock and put effort in because it can handle it without breaking a sweat, so the GPU just doesn't really do a great deal. Now normally this extra power is used up by the extra frames that it's pushing, but in Fortnite's case, by turning textures to epic, the GPU kicks itself into high gear to give that high level of quality, and by doing so you utilise the full power of the GPU, of the clock speed and the RAM, you utilise all of it, which you guessed it, gives you more frames. Now doing this, I did see a little bit of an increase in frames, but as I mentioned before, by setting my frame rate to unlimited, it pushes my CPU to virtually 100%. So a lot of these tricks, whether the CPU or GPU related, won't make a massive difference because my PC is already being pushed to its limits. But chances are you've got unlocked potential hidden away in your PC, so you should see drastic differences with these tricks. So to recap, first download Malwarebytes and Adware Cleaner and run them both, possibly multiple times each, to really clean out your PC. Next up, turn on XMP if you can, or AMP if you've got AMD. Next, set your OpenGL rendering to your GPU in the NVIDIA control panel. Then make sure your frame rate isn't locked if the option is there too, but don't worry if it's not there. Next up, you need to enable DX12 in your Fortnite settings, allow multi-threaded rendering, turn that on, and change your textures to epic. Now, it's not a guarantee every one of these will give you an FPS boost. Some may not. It all depends on your system and how optimized it already is. But it's worth giving all of these a go because chances are at least some of these will help give you those extra frames, which are so important in competitive gaming. So there you go, there's our tips to boost your FPS in Fortnite. Let us know in the comment section how many FPS you gain by doing these tricks. We'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And hopefully you're going to enjoy this video today. If you did, make sure you drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe and notifications on. We're a brand new channel, so every like, every subscription, everything really is going to help grow this thing. So please keep on doing what you guys are doing. We hope you all have an amazing day. We hope you get those high frame rates, and we'll see you guys very soon in the next one.